looking forward to sharing with you a great deal of information about the new New South Wales battery rebate. So I look forward to sharing the information today. There's some really good content that we've put together. I'm also joined in this afternoon's webinar with Boris and Elmer from New South Wales, who will be able to directly share and support information with you. So without further ado, I'm just going to hand it over to Boris for a quick introduction, and then Elmer, and then we'll get the presentation underway.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Duncan. Amazing. Hi, everyone. So I'm the Regional Sales Manager in New South Wales and ACT for Enphase Energy. For those who don't know me, I can help you with learning about Enphase product, how to sell it, and in general, any general inquiries you might have. Today, after this webinar and moving forward, feel free to reach out. We will drop our contact detail in the chat later on. So yeah, feel free to ask any question, and looking forward to work with you in the next couple of days and weeks. Hopefully today will be a useful webinar. We have packed a couple of useful information regarding the rebate, but also we will give you a couple of updates on our battery and what type of job you can do with it and with the rebate as well. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Hello everyone, Elmer here, Field Applications Engineer at Enphase, based in New South Wales. I predominantly work to assist you guys in design questions and helping you to find bespoke solutions in your multifaceted of design solutions out there. I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions arising with the New South Wales Energy Battery Rebates. We're here to help you, dissect all the questions you have. And there is a chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. Feel free to drop in any questions. We'll be happy to answer all of them, and we'll be covering them as well towards the end of the presentation here.
Thanks, Elmer. Thanks, Boris. And we'll look forward to, you're going to disappear now, but you'll be in the background on the chat. So we'll see you again at the FAQs at the end of the webinar. In the meantime, just look out for the chat box on the webinar page, everyone. Feel free to type your questions in the chat box. Boris and Elmer will attempt to answer those as we go through the webinar. If we can't get to all of your questions, we'll record those and we can come back to you directly after the webinar as well. So we should get all of those questions answered this afternoon. Now, without further ado, I'm going to throw up the presentation and we'll get underway. So we've got a series of slides that are going to take through and help summarize all of the details about the rebate scheme. So in this afternoon's webinar agenda, we've got really 5 key areas we want to look at for you. I'm actually going to start with the basics and go through an overview for you of the New South Wales battery rebate. I know for a lot of you installers already will be very familiar with the details, but then we do have a diverse crowd on the call today, and there will be some people who are very new to the concept. So I'd like to just cover off the basics, and from that we'll then go into the New South Wales battery rebate solutions and have a look at how we can apply Enphase into those requirements and see how that product fits and meets all of the requirements of the rebate. Then we'll look at how to maximize the value of the rebate, what you can get in terms of dollar value return for using Enphase storage. And then for point 4, we'll talk about the IQ battery, the system as a whole, and also some key selling points for you, which is a great point to share in terms of understanding how to bring the battery into the homeowner domain so that they've got all of the understanding and knowledge they need to get the product installed from you. FAQs at the end, and Boris and Elmer will jump back in and be able to share some FAQs with you as well. So I think you'll find that the content's pretty interesting and some good information to share today. Now, as I go through, Boris and Elmer do also have some links. I'll be referring to some locations on websites and things. They'll add the links into the chat box there on the screen. So just use that chat box to grab that link, open up in a web browser and save, bookmark it for after the webinar. So as an overview, New South Wales Government introduced the Battery Rebate 2024 scheme to encourage the uptake of battery storage systems in residential homes. Now, the rebate aims to provide incentives to install residential property storage in line with the Peak Demand Reduction Scheme, or PDRS. It's an initiative which aims to lower electricity demand during peak times. Now, that rebate commences very soon, so it's on the 1st of November 2024. Now, how does the PDRS system work? The PDRS creates units, and these are called certificates, based on the energy saved from the installation. Now, just in italics there on the screen, you'll see it, a note here, which is a good way of defining what a certificate is. It's reducing or shifting load in the home by 0.1 kilowatts during peak times. That will create one peak reduction certificate. And so a number of certificates will be calculated and applied to create the value of the rebate that you'll give to the system owner. Now, the certificates can be sold. The certificates that are created then can be sold onto the accredited service providers, or ACPs. Now, they will on-sell those onto energy retailers who will need to acquire them to meet their annual obligations. Now, ACPs may be a third-party service who handle the creation and sale of certificates on behalf of you, the installer. Now, notes about eligibility, and I've got a few pages of notes to go through here, and these is define these as bullet points. There's a lot of information to cover, and I wanted to try to make the information succinct so it's easy to follow, actually. So, to be eligible to participate in the New South Wales Battery Rebate Scheme, installers must, there are 3 key points here that you're required to meet. You must have a valid and current installer accreditation with the SAA, and the SAA, of course, is the Solar Accreditation Authority. Many of you will be familiar with the authority in terms of maintaining accreditation there. You must also have a current and valid New South Wales electrical contractor licence and comply with all local government and industry standards and regulations. So what that really means is the Australian standards, might be the installation guidelines for solar installers, that the SAA produce a guideline document as well, and then any local bylaws and requirements as well. Now, for the installation to qualify for the New South Wales Battery Rebate Scheme, there are some requirements of the site. So I'll just go through these listed points as well for you now. So the site must be residential or a small business. It cannot have any existing battery energy storage system on the site at the same NMI. It can have an existing PV system at the same NMI, or the site can have a brand new PV installation with storage, with a new BESS added onto that site. Now, the third point from the bottom there, it must be installed with a new BESS with a minimum of 2 kilowatt hours, but no more than 28 kilowatt hours. That's to be eligible for that rebate scheme. It can be installed with a BESS that is capable of connecting with a VPP. And the final point there, be installed with a BESS that satisfies the warranty conditions. And I've broken the warranty conditions down a little bit more detail so you can see how Enphase product fits into that requirement as well. But just before we get there, there are some additional eligibility notes just to reference back here. So the installation must cost a minimum of $200 ex GST and borne by the customer. And these, again, all of these rules can be found in the rebate scheme. The implementation must be on or after the 1st of November in 2024, and the installation must be done as per IPART's implementation requirement. You can refer to the BESS 1 in the PDRS method guide. And you'll notice in the chat there, I'm noticing some links coming in. As I talk through the slides, Boris and Elma are just adding some slides there in the chat. So that'll help you along in terms of referencing where we're gathering the information from and sharing today as well. Now, the installed battery must be on the CEC approved battery list. So just like the IQ Battery 5P I've got here on the wall behind me, Enphase IQ batteries are on the CEC approved battery list. Now, in addition, final point, some ACPs may support different eligible batteries on their own platforms. So that might mean maybe look through a few ACPs. You're going to find eligible batteries. Some ACPs may not list all of the ones that are eligible. So just bear that in mind. So that was an introduction on the overall picture of the scheme. So we've gone through that fairly efficiently, but I think that information there should bring home some good key points for you. Now, in the next section, I want to talk through the New South Wales Battery Rebate Solutions and how Enphase will fit into this picture. Now, the first point, as I mentioned before, there are warranty conditions on this rebate. And the warranty conditions, I'll read out this top line for you. Each end user equipment warranty must define the normal use conditions during the operation of the end user equipment as not being less than, and there are 3 points here to follow. So you'll see in the table here, the top line says the battery must operate with a minimum ambient temperature range between -10 to 50 degrees centigrade. Now, what I've tried to do with this slide is show you how Enphase IQ Battery 5P aligns with this requirement. So you can see there from the Enphase data sheet, -20 degrees centigrade all the way through to 55 degrees centigrade. So it's a tick for Enphase for that warranty condition requirement. Now, in the middle point states that a minimum warranted cumulative energy throughput equivalent to 2.8 megawatt hours per kilowatt hour of usable battery capacity. And this is where the implementation date is before the 1st of April 2026. Now, there are two notes around this. So we've done the calculation and we've given you the sum of that number. And that number for Enphase is more than 5.4 megawatt hours per kilowatt hour over the life of that battery product. So that meets the requirement for the warranty condition in point 2. Now, in the final point, that warranty condition does increase per megawatt hour of per kilowatt hour of usable battery capacity, and that date increases from the 1st of April 2026. Well, the good news is, and I'm sure Enphase will continue to bring new products to market, but at 2026, there will be the current IQ Battery 5P continues to be compliant with the existing rebate requirements. So all ticks on all those key areas there. Now, I've added in some additional notes here, just items to be aware of. So existing systems with storage are not eligible for the rebate. And we'll keep coming back to this and talk about use cases with the Enphase range of products. And then the second point there, to gain a maximum value of the rebate for a given NMI site, the storage system should be installed to the maximum capacity. So system expansions will not receive a rebate in the future for the same site. So what we're saying is really think about your design and your application for the customer. We're not suggesting to oversell, but to be aware that adding storage onto site won't be eligible for a rebate if you add future storage on that site or expand a system. Of course, as you know, Enphase systems are very flexible and they are very expandable. So it's a good point to remember when you are selling and designing systems for site with Enphase. Now, in the next point for the webinar, we're going to talk about maximising the value of the New South Wales battery rebate. So really, what we're really talking about here is how that might fit when we're talking about the Enphase IQ Battery 5P. Now, what we've done is we've done the hard work for you, and we've created a table and the potential value of that rebate based on the kilowatt hours of capacity that you're adding onto site. So if you look at the top of the table here, we've got kilowatt hours, 5 kilowatt hours, and we use that number because each of these IQ Battery 5Ps are 5 kilowatt hour capacity. So there's a value of $638 for the first 5 kilowatt hours of installed value. Now, how we arrived at that number, we've had to make an estimate on the value of the PRC certificate, and that's been valued at $2 per certificate. And you'll notice that some ACPs do provide estimates as well. It's quite a common number to use because it's a reasonably good guesstimate of where the PRC value might sit. Of course, that value may change over time as well. So for 2 batteries, it will be 10 kilowatt hours or $1,277. And you can see on the table 3 batteries, 4 batteries, or you might have specific use cases where you might add additional storage, where it's a grid-tied installation solution. So I'll give you some use cases following up as well. So these will be all of the rebate values based on that estimate within the rebate program capacity. Now, keeping that in mind and thinking about the rebates, let's have a look at the Enphase Energy System overview. And of course, we're talking about a suite of components, a range of system equipment to complete an installation for site. You know, the New South Wales Battery Rebate Program talks about storage, but you do have to obviously, you're thinking about the solar, what's accessible on site, where you're going to apply the product in the field. So one thing that I wanted to share, if you may not be aware yet, is that Enphase has recently increased the warranty on microinverters. So for a lot of these battery storage sites, you may be doing a new installation. you will be using the IQ8 microinverter. That's the current microinverter on the market available. This now comes since the 1st of October with a 25-year out-of-the-box warranty. And so that's a really good peace of mind and a great solution as part of the storage system that you install. Now, of course, we've got a range of system components that make up Energy System. I just wanted to quickly highlight the key products that we're going to be focusing on a little bit more in the next few slides. So, of course, we've got the Enphase app, which is going to be programming, managing, and helping you organize the system for commissioning. And then there'll be maybe Enphase microinverters installed under the solar array. There is an Enphase communications kit. So I'll just highlight that on the screen. You'll see in the middle of the screen there, Enphase communications kit. What that kit is an ability to use the IQ battery in a different range of scenarios. So we're providing a new product as an option for you for an increased number of installation outcomes. So I think that this is really appropriate to talk about this in this webinar, because this could help you think about additional options that you can install into using the Enphase IQ battery. So it really does open the door a bit more for you in terms of installation outcomes. And then the Enphase system also includes the IQ system controller, which is used in a backup scenario with the IQ battery 5P. So a lot of interesting use cases that we can talk to in a moment. Now, of course, it's a storage rebate, and we want to consider the concepts around storage. So let's just quickly focus on the key elements of the IQ battery 5P and why perhaps you would select this product for your installation. So one key element, of course, is that it does meet those warranty requirements for the rebate. It is a 5 kilowatt hour unit, and the continuous output of the unit is 3.84 kVA. Now don't forget, of course, with the Enphase IQ batteries, as you add batteries onto site, you're increasing the kilowatt hour capacity. You're also increasing the continuous kilowatt output rating. So your 3.84 kVA for 2 batteries now becomes 7.68 kVA. So a very powerful product with a high surge capacity. Now, in terms of reliability, another peace of mind is that it is a 15-year warranty with the IQ battery 5P. So as I said, the microinverters under the solar panels come with a 25-year warranty. IQ battery product comes with a 15-year warranty. There's no single point of failure, and we can give it a good warranty because it has no noisy fans in the unit, no moving parts, and it comes with that 6,000 cycles. So that 15-year warranty and 6,000 cycles are part of that calculation for the megawatt hours per kilowatt hour of calculation required for the rebate program. And you can actually access these on site to do field servicing if it was ever needed to be required. Of course, I may not need to tell you this, but it is a lithium iron phosphate chemistry, extra low voltage DC, using microinverters in the all-in-one IQ battery 5P. And that simplicity is really key. So you've got a lot of flexibility with the wiring and placement of the product. Commonly you'll see these batteries installed wall mounted. There is a pedestal mount actually for ground mount. We don't see that used quite as often, but that is an option on through the Enphase wholesalers as well. This IQ battery 5P, notice that point at the bottom there, compatible with existing and new solar installations. So you've got flexibility with any type of solar installation site. Now, we decided to add this slide in before I go into the use cases of the battery, which I think you'll like to see the options there. Now, there are a range of benefits for homeowners with the IQ battery 5P. And we get a lot of questions in the sales side, especially Boris and in New South Wales working in the sales side would get a lot of questions regarding, where is the value for the homeowner? And I think that these selling points are excellent to share because it gives some very good tools and stories that you can share to the customers. So for the next series of slides, I'm going to move into the use cases for the New South Wales battery rebate. So we're talking about Enphase IQ battery use cases that will apply for rebate requirements. And so what I'm going to share are some diagram options for you. And there's a range of options. Now, what I'm really sharing on the screen is an example of an Enphase energy system that's described as a battery backup installation. And let me just describe these components for you in a bit more detail. You'll notice in the middle of the screen here, we have an IQ System Controller 5P. You should be able to see my cursor on the screen there. Sorry, the IQ System Controller 3 INT, I'm sorry. That is the energy hub, and that's making decisions for the batteries, the microinverters, and it's looking at the home's loads and consumption. So all of the action happens in that system controller, and it's making decisions about the use of the battery. So obviously saving energy and utilizing the battery to deliver self-consumption battery power back into the home. Now that use case is very flexible. It's designed primarily, you'd be using this on a new site, adding batteries, system controller, and microinverters. System controller and the IQ Battery 5P can be retrofitted onto existing Enphase microinverter sites as well. So you do have that flexibility. In fact, we have a range of design briefs around options if you're using older versions of microinverter as well. Remembering that you can put storage products into older solar installations that have no storage, do not already have storage. Now for the next series of use cases, and I'll come back and list these all at the end for you, I'll talk about another example where we're going to use a new component. It's called the the Communications Kit 2. It's an IQ system, the battery system, using a grid-tied battery with a tool called, a product called the Communications Kit 2. It's that device in the middle of the screen there. So what this component does is it allows our communications gateway, probably have one right behind me here on the wall. These communications gateways with the communications kit enables them to now talk across directly to each of the IQ Battery 5Ps, and you can create a storage solution for self-consumption without backup. So it gives you a slightly different scenario of installation and adds a few installation options for you actually. So it can widen some opportunities for you. So just note the points on the screen. It's a grid-tied solution for IQ batteries and any solar PV installation. And when I mean any solar PV installation, I mean not just Enphase microinverters. You could use these products in string inverter sites as well. It enables a wide communication between IQ battery and the IQ gateway using the control cable system of the battery and converts to a small USB connection back to the IQ gateway itself. For any IQ battery circuit you install, as a point of note, you will use an IQ relay as well. So an IQ relay is a grid protection device. Without the system controller, you'll need one of an IQ relay on each IQ battery circuit in a grid-tied scenario. Now let's just take that and put that into a system installation, try to understand that a bit more. So generally what you see at Enphase is a subboard built in with all of those components already pre-built. So we are seeing a lot of our wholesalers now supply pre-built subboards, like the example in the photo here, and that would include the communications kit, the Q relays, the switch gear, and the IQ gateway. So it's an easy installation with that board. And you can buy those through the electrical wholesalers that we supply into. So that solar subboard installed on the wall, it might be an existing solar microinverter site. It's simple enough as adding the IQ batteries, that solar subboard, and you've now got a grid-tied PV installation with storage. So the storage won't provide backup, but it provides a benefit for the homeowner, and they can use this to get the New South Wales Battery Rebate, which is a great win. Now you can use this for new microinverter installations or existing microinverter installations. Now the next point to this is you can take that communications gateway, combine it in a solar subboard, and you can actually add these components into existing string site. So you can see on the screen, I've added a very special string inverter on the example there. And we've added in a IQ solar subboard, and it's measuring with current transformers the output of the string system, and it's monitoring the consumption loads at the main switchboard to enable the batteries to charge and discharge. So a very simple solution using Enphase IQ Battery 5P. So another scenario really worth thinking about. So let me list those again for you. 3 options for you. You can add IQ Battery 5P storage to existing microinverter site. That's one without existing storage, of course, if you're getting the rebate. new installations with the Enphase IQ8 microinverters and IQ battery 5P, so we call that the Enphase Energy System. And you can even install the 5P into non-Enphase grid-tied string inverter PV sites. So again, you've got more options and many more ways you can now install using Enphase system. So it's good. I'm just noticing questions flicking up on the screen. A lot of people are asking questions. I think Boris and Elma are helping with those answers there. Hopefully getting all your answers as we go through. So what the next part of the webinar, I want to talk through installation steps, and then quickly run through some recommended processes that we at Enphase see as being the good process for you to work through as an installer. Bear with me, I'll read through the words on the screen here. So for the installer process for the rebate scheme, we recommend that point 1, that you confirm that the proposed battery is on the CEC list. Well, you've got Enphase, we've covered you for that one. You then, for point 2, engage an ACP, and the body can create the PRCs for the rebate. Now, each ACP will have their own approved battery energy system list. So this needs to be checked. You need to check on their list that they've got the Enphase battery listed. And then when quoting a system to the homeowner, you as the installer need to know how much rebate can be offered for the customer. Now, the ACP that you engage should give you, the installer, indicative PRC pricing, because that price can change because that's sold on the open market. And the next 3 points, point 5, once the homeowner's agreed to the installation, you install the system to the rules and regulations as required by the rebate program. Compile photographic evidence for point 6, and after the installation, you'll need evidence attached to the online applications for the PRCs and with the ACP body as well. Now, the online forms must be signed off by you, the installer, not by another person or another company or the company. Now, the homeowner must also sign the receipt as well. So that's probably an important point to remember. And then you submit the application and be sure to keep the timing correct. You need to do this within 5 days of your installation, as the ACP, because that's where you supply the forms to, need to have time to process those forms. And the application deadline is the 15th of each month. And that's set by the TESA authority for that program. So I hope those points are helpful for you. So that lists the installer's process. I think that should be some helpful steps for all the installers. For the next section of the webinar, and so we're getting near to the end actually, it's all about the FAQs. And what I'd like to do is call Elma and Boris back, and they're going to talk with you for the FAQs. And so you can put faces to the names and see who your support team are within New South Wales.
Yeah, so for those who missed it, last Monday, the New South Wales government organized a very good webinar as an update. So we have put the link here. We can also text it to you. I highly recommend everyone to look at it. You can just hit the link and play it. It's an hour and a half. And there is a lot of content in there. Most of the information we have given you today are partly from this webinar. Yeah, maybe take time to have a look, digest it, and then give us a call, me or Elmer, so we can keep answering your question and then work with you guys. If anything was not correct today or need to be corrected, please inform us so we can review and correct.
Yeah, as Boris mentioned, so most of this information we did was actually carried out by our own due diligence and attending the webinars by the New South Wales Government, as well as various ACPs providers. And as far as I can see from the collected questions in the webinars chat box here, I can see like there's still, I guess, hesitations around what's the amount of rebate that the installer is actually being awarded with each I guess PRC's applications. But I think it's important to make distinction, and I'm happy to take the conversations offline. But one thing I do need to highlight is the rebate is awarded based on PRC, the certificates that is generated by ACPs. So best point to, I guess, move forward is contact your ACPs and understand what are they offering in terms of the PRC, and that's how you can tie it back to the amount of rebate that you can push onto your customers. So yeah, happy to take this offline. Any question, reach me out, and Boris as well.
Yeah, so yeah, I totally agree with what Elmer said. We are actually trying to build a list of, based on all the ICP that are already accredited to operate the best one part of the rebate. We are trying to build a list of contact among all these ICP. So if you reach out to us, we can guide you to set up an account with one of them if you're not already set up. Most of you probably are already good to go. And as Elmer said, the best way to discuss rebate amount will be either to go on an ICP website or to talk to someone who work for an ICP, because that's their job pretty much.
And the link we're sharing, Elmer, I think that that'll give us links into more of the access to the ACPs.
Yes, absolutely. So we've collected and posted all the relevant lists, starting from the New South Wales Government to the IPART sections, as well as, most importantly, I'd like to, to encourage you guys to have a look at the PDRS method guide, which stipulates all the PRC calculations, the deadlines, compliance deadlines, as well as the specific warranty conditions. So check this and make sure that you understand how, batteries would be qualified or eligible under this scheme here.
Thanks, Elmer. I'll just move on to the next slide, and probably a good point. And pretty hear your story too, Elmer, on this one. Of course, with Enphase, we do a lot of training, and we organise different types of training. One of the elements, we have a lot of people watching the YouTube channel, and you're welcome to scan the QR code. There's also a specific requirement about the Enphase IQ batteries, isn't there, Elmer?
That's right.
And so each installer must be certified by Enphase. And so we ask you, if you notice the Enphase University, you can get CPD points. But if you haven't done the IQ Battery 5P before, we ask that you do our online certification. And that just helps guide you in the fundamentals on the design and installation of the IQ Battery 5P. And it'll just give you some really helpful tips to prepare you for your first installation and commissioning. And each installer must have completed that and to be able to commission the battery first time around and on an ongoing basis. And so on that note, let's talk about local help for Enphase. Maybe you want to share a bit more, Boris, on this final slide?
Yeah, sure. So for those who need to register our phone number, you have phone number here of me and Elmer, and email address. Also very useful, our tech support team in Australia, great team. I think we have one of the quickest pickup rate of picking up the phone. So yeah, for anything after installation is done, please call tech support. If need be, you can escalate to me or Elmer. For anything regarding design, sales, New South Wales rebate, anything, just feel free to call us. We'll keep texting and discussing offline after this webinar. We are just getting started pretty much. So there is a lot to unpack, and we can help each other. The goal for us is to try to help you as much as we can, and add more value other than just giving you hardware and products. So yeah, looking forward to discussing with all of you later on today and the next couple of days. And for those who come at All Energy next week, we'll share again some information. We have great training, on-stand training on day 1 and day 2 at All Energy next week. A lot of CPD points, I think up to 70 CPD points up for grab. And there is also the Enphase EIN party, 6 p.m. Next Wednesday. So yeah, if you are keen to join, yeah, give us a call and we'll send you the links.
That's great. Thanks, Boris, for sharing that info. And also thanks, Elmer, for coming in and joining on the webinar this afternoon.
Thanks,
and also, thanks for everyone for joining in. We've had a really big crowd today. It's excellent to have you all on board. And again, this is just the beginning, as Boris said, and there's a lot more to learn as the rebates start getting into gear from the 1st of November. But again, if we haven't, we'll answer any remaining questions if we haven't got to those already. And we'll look forward to seeing you out there in the field installing systems. So thanks again, and see you all soon.
See you guys. See you soon.
See you guys.